All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzone Radio TV. On all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV, and our main website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Lisa Noland-Shalosky is our special guest of this hour. She is a psychic medium, Trance channel, who helps change lives through spirit connections. As a psychic medium, Lisa receives messages from the beyond in many forms, including clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and physically using psychometry, or simply by giving her a name. She can connect with loved ones who have crossed over and are now in spirit form. She is also able to connect you to your spirit guides, angels, and light beings. As a trance channel, Lisa invites spirits or entities from the angelic and universal realm to borrow her body for a matter of time in order to communicate with the living. Joining me now is our guest this hour, Lisa Nolson. I don't want to call you Nolson for some reason. Lisa Noland-Shalosky. And that's a mouthful. Son of a gun.
It is.
Lisa, welcome to the show, dear. Welcome to the show, Lisa. And tell us what started you on your journey into being a psychic medium.
Well, thank you so much, Rob, for having me on. I'm ecstatic that I'm here, and it makes me giggle because even I have trouble even spelling my own new last name, Shalosky. So don't worry about that. You know, it's interesting, the path that I've been on. I was born into a family of very Baptist, Southern Baptist religious people. And so that was the first, I'll say, 42 years of my life that I was delved in that. But I actually was working here for a local company. I'm in the Ohio, United States, Ohio area. And I had taken some people on a ghost hunt to a home in Trinway, which is actually, TAPS has been there, and there have been some other people that have actually taken tours and, haunts through that place. And I had so many experiences. I didn't know at the time I was a medium, and I had experiences being touched. I heard things. I felt things. Had experiences that nobody else was having, and I couldn't explain what was going on. So when I got back, I'd taken some amazing photographs. I had all these orbs in these photos, and a friend of mine that I worked with said to me, he goes, "Lisa, do you know why you're having all these experiences?" And I said, "I have no clue. I'm telling you, it was just wild." He's like, "Well, you're a medium." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? The shirt I'm wearing is an extra large." I had no clue what he was talking about. I didn't understand what mediumship was. I'd heard the word psychic. I had, gone to psychics when I was in my 20s and things like that, but I was so deeply rooted in my faith. It was so against my religion to do such a thing. So here I am, a beautiful 48-year-old, actually doing this for a living and understanding and living and breathing universal consciousness. And it's amazing. I'm having an amazing experience. It's been a wonderful journey. And that's literally how I got started. He fed me, you're a medium. Do you know about your chakras? And I'm like, what is a chakra? So it's from 2005 is when that conversation started. It was August of 2005. And from that point, I started going to every teacher I could find. I just became the largest sponge in the world, just trying to absorb as much as I could about this new experience that I was delving into.
Fascinating. The ghost house or the haunting that you went to, you said you were touched. You felt the presence, and you didn't know you were a medium.
No clue.
Wow.
had no clue, Rob. And I tell you what, to this day, I had that experience, and then I came back to work and I told everybody about it. No one believed me, and I'm like, that's it. I'm taking. So I called the place. I knew the guy from high school because it's back in my near my hometown. It's called the Prospect Place. You can look it up. It was one of the Underground Railroad homes built in the 1800s, and it was owned by the Adams family. Great grandson still lives in the home. He lives in part of it, and then he lets people use the rest of it for ghost tours because he's trying to raise money to refurbish the home. So when I was having these experiences, I didn't know what, I was scared to death, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. And my sister's like, no, let's stay. We're having fun. And I'm like, okay, as long as, I mean, it was just crazy. I should have ran and never turned back, but
Lisa,
I didn't. And,
Lisa, you and I have to take a commercial break. Please stand by. Exonation, our special guest this hour is Lisa Noland-Shalosky. There you go. She's a psychic medium, trance channel. Her website is, Lisa, give the people your website.
LisaNoland.com.
There you go. Lisa and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break in 2 minutes as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. Lisa, what was it that you were doing at the house? Were you a tour guide? Were you involved in the tour guide business of these haunted places?
No, I actually was just there as a visitor.
I see.
Just someone who was participating in the hunt itself, and I will say, I have not gone seeking those types of experiences since those 2 times that I went. It's once I realized that I was a medium and that I was a channel, and that going into experiences like that, unprotected, not knowing what you're doing, you really are asking for trouble. So it's not anything that I choose to do anymore.
But yet you deal with the spirit world. What's the difference between?
I do, and I do house clearings now. My husband and I actually do house clearings. We do several a month. We're doing one Sunday, and we're doing another one next week. And it's interesting the turnabout that I've gone through in these past few years. I have realized what my gifts are, how to use them, how to work with spirit, and how to have them work with me. And, deliver messages to those people who come to me for psychic readings or mediumship readings. And when I'm actually doing a house blessing or a house clearing, because of the experiences I've had, I'm very quickly able to recognize what the entity is, where it is, how it's affecting the people in the home. And, and we're able to eradicate it, and I'm able to help the homeowners work through what the experience was and how to keep themselves safe in the future.
Tell me how you clear a house.
Well, we go in and it's so interesting. Basically, we just go in, and I'm able to tap into the house before I even get there. So, for example, I had someone call me today, and they want us to come clear their home. It's a 6,000 square foot home. I'm already talking to the property. I'm already talking to the home. And I already know what I'm getting into before I get there, so I know what to take with me. So when we approach the home, we're using sage, frankincense, and myrrh. Sometimes I'll take, some tuning bells. It just depends on what I'm facing. The one on Sunday that we're going to be clearing is a home where they've had some unusual activity, and they have a well that's actually inside the home. So there's going to be some extra things that we'll do to make sure that we secure that home, close any portals that we find. It's not uncommon to find several portals that have opened up, especially when people are using Ouija board and things like that have actually opened those areas up in a home. And it's just, again, teaching the homeowners how not to be afraid and how to keep themselves protected, and, bring in that vibration of love energy so that they don't have these troubles in the future.
Why do you think some homes are haunted and others aren't?
I don't know if I like the word haunted, but
what do you call it?
There's just residual energy.
Okay.
There's negative energies. There's residual energies from those beings who have been in the home before. So for example, the house there was one house that we did that the young man had dealt with a Ouija board, but he had done the Ouija at a friend's house. Well, that energy followed him home. So, yeah, I guess you can call it a haunting, but, it was just the energy, that negative energy preys on those people who are weaker than it is. And if you show any fear, then that energy is going to be drawn to you and with you and home with you. And we found a couple objects in the home that, in that particular instance, that the energy was attached to. So once we removed those objects from the home, then 90% of the problem was gone. And then it was just going through and blessing the home and just bringing that vibration of love energy and protection back into the space.
Tell me about the hardest case you've worked on.
That would be the last one we just did. It's what they call shadow. If you're probably familiar with shadow people, but we had a shadow person in this one, and with shadow energies, they tend to bounce around. They like to make you think there's more than one, and this particular home had 3, and they were making the toys turn on. When we were outside burning a couple objects that we found, the homeowners yell at us from the porch, and they're like, okay, the toys just came on again, so it was trying to narrow down where they were running from and to. And we were there for about 2.5 hours, and we were able to get everything. So what or who were the entities that were causing all the toys to come on, and how can something that is invisible or has no mass turn something on? It is the energy that is collected. It's the only way I can describe it is that they feed off of the fear of the people that are in the home, and they pull the energy from electronics. Somehow they were able to make these toys turn on, because when we came back in and we're like, specifically to show us which toy is doing this, my husband goes over, he walks up to the toy, and before he even touches it, it starts to go off again. And I'm like, okay, we're done with this. We're done playing with you. And sometimes, you never want to get like, you never want to curse at them. You want to, it's kind of like a respect thing. You never want to just, I show that I'm not afraid of you. I hold dominion over you, and you cannot bother me. Now, enough is enough already. And it's kind of like you got to talk to them like they're a bad child that's been acting up, and it's time to move on. And then we use archangels to help us net out those negative energies and move them into the light. How do you get the archangels involved, and which archangels do you use? Simply by asking, and we use Archangel Metatron primarily, Michael and Metatron. But what about the people afterwards? Is there any chance that a lot of this is psychosomatic, that they themselves, the people, are creating any manifestation using telekinesis or some other type of mind over matter materialization or manifestation of something that they believe is there but in reality isn't? Well, I suppose that could be true, but I'm telling you, in these cases that we've experienced so far, especially this one, it affected everyone in the home down to their 2-year-old who went screaming because he saw something, so they, the one son who was, I believe he's 15, lived in the lower part of the home, experienced people calling out his name, scared him half to death. He ran 3 floors up to his parents' room, they'd never seen him that scared, so they prey on our fears. That's, basically we had to teach them, do not be afraid, command control. If something comes into the home that you're not, you don't want there, you tell it to leave, or you call in the angels and you net it out, and, you ask them for their help. There have been instances where I've simply had to open up the front door and say, okay, there's the nearest church. If you're not going to go, then you need to at least leave the vibration of this home, and you need to go down the street. And, that's where you're going to find what you need. Because not all experiences are, not all experiences are actually maybe just negative energies, but like I said, like the shadow people that we were finding at this place, they can attach themselves to objects. We had one house that we did a couple months ago where she collects antiques. So she is bringing in the energy of anybody who's ever owned that item before her. And, everything is energy. So if you have an argument, that argument sends out energy vibrations, and it gets infused in the walls, and it gets infused in the furniture. So now you've gone to an antique store and you're bringing home something that belonged to someone from 100 years ago. What was the energy like in that home, and who's had it before then, and who's had it since then? So what are you bringing in? And in this particular instance, we had the house completely cleared. She called me a month later and said, we've been having this activity in this one particular room. My son's been throwing up. He's been sick. And I didn't have to go to the home. I could simply be where I was and tapped in. And I said, what's going on with the bed? Did you get a new bed? What's with the mattress? Talk to me about what you did different in that room. Well, come to find out, they had bought a brand new bed for this guy. Mm-hmm. And the energy from a brand new bed. She goes, well, I thought you only meant antiques. I'm like, anything you bring into your home is subject to bringing in energy that you may not want. So I'm constantly, I don't care what I bring into the home, I'm always like talking to the energy of the item and going, and just blessing it before I bring it into the house. So we're constantly cleaning any and everything. It's kind of like when you walk into a Kroger's, right? They have the little wipes that you can wipe the handle down. Well, you're not only wiping down germs, you're wiping down the energy of anybody that's held that cart before you. It's the same thing.
When you, prior to going in and working on a house and dealing with the people, what kind of research do you do on the house and on the people themselves?
None. Just simply asking. I just ask questions. What are you experiencing? Mm-hmm. And that's it. I don't do any research.
Why not?
Spirit gives me what I need. It's
what
when
happens
when
if
I walk on the property, I get it.
What happens if Spirit is wrong?
I haven't had that experience yet.
But what happens?
That's a good question, Rob. I have not run across that yet. Now, the house that we're going to on Sunday, there's residual energy from experiences. I was able to tell that there's a man that's hanging around there, and I asked the homeowner to do the research to find out, was there somebody that passed away in that house prior to them that they didn't have knowledge of? And she called me back and she told me that she is aware that there was a death on that property. But I myself don't do any research before I go on to a property.
I find that strange. I find that strange because if I'm going out and I'm going to be part of a person's life and I'm going to start suggesting what they should do or what they shouldn't do, I would want as much information as I can gather to make sure that I know what I'm getting into.
It's the same, how would I describe it? It's the same as if someone comes to me for a reading. Mm-hmm. I don't want you feeding the psychic. I don't want you feeding me information. If you're asking me to connect to, deceased loved ones and things like that, I don't want you feeding me anything. I want you validating what I'm finding. But I don't need you to feed me information, and I have not. Now I'm open to there being a time where I might need to do research, but so for example, I did another home. This was about an 8,000 square foot home.
Okay, what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour, so give us a few minutes. We'll be right back, Exo Nation, talking about psychic phenomena this hour, channeling. Our guest is Lisa Noland-Shalosky, and if you'd like further information on Lisa, her website is www.lisanoland.com. That's LISANOLAND.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Exonation. Lisa's website is www.lisanoland.com. And Lisa, when you're out doing these clearings, how do you deal with any psychological effect that not only the events prior to you arriving on the scene to do what you do, and the events and the condition of the people after these events. How do you deal with them? You know,
you know what? For the most part, they are hugging us and thanking us by the time we leave because they feel the shift.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran into the young boy that was at the one home I was telling you about at a football game, and he came up to us. He's like, "I just want you to know, I just feel so much better, and I've been sleeping in my sleeping downstairs, and I just can't thank you enough." So it's. And again, you asked me before the break, why don't I do research?
Yeah.
I believe enough in my team that they are going to guide me and direct me to what I need to do while I'm there. And some clearings, it may take us going back a second time. But if we do not charge the homeowner. It is our service to provide in order to make sure that everything is done correctly. But we have yet to have to go back a second time.
So are you saying that you actually charge people for this?
We do.
How much?
It is my business.
How much do you charge?
It's $120 regardless of the length of time.
God. Are you folks licensed or anything?
There's no reason to be.
Well, wait a minute. You're going into a person's house. You're basically acting in a position of authority. You're giving them advice.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you're wrong? What happens if these people suffer any traumatic or psychological effects because of what's gone on in the house or what you've told them?
I am a licensed minister, but other than that, I am not aware of anyone who does house blessings or clearings being licensed at anything. It's kind of like Reiki. I mean, someone does energy work on someone. It's the same thing. We're doing energy work on a house.
I've been doing this show for 23 years, and I've never had anyone come on the show who charges for what you do.
Really?
Really.
I've never known anyone that's done it that doesn't.
Well, I'm telling you.
It's my business. It's my livelihood. I'm a psychic medium. I'm a channel, and we do house blessings and clearings, and that's my livelihood.
Do you pay taxes on it?
We do. Absolutely.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all recordable income.
$125. Wow.
Yep. And it's the same thing with my psychic work. I had somebody here last night. Mm-hmm. They wanted a 45-minute session, and I spent 2 hours with them. Sometimes it isn't about the money. It's about helping people. And if someone's in a situation where they can't afford it and they need our help, we've never turned anybody down in order to assist them. We will help in any way we can.
Okay. So who is it that you're channeling? You said your team.
Yeah, so I'm a trance channel. And what that is I have the ability to... this may sound weird, but I leave my body or step aside for a period of time so that higher energy beings can come through and speak through me. And the main person that I channel is Gaia. I've channeled such beings as Creator, Kuan Yin, all that is, creative consciousness. There's a whole bunch of people that we've worked with, but primarily with Gaia. And we do a monthly trance channel session out of our home. And what I do just recently, it's actually started in June. There's an online magazine called Bellesprit on bellesprit.com, and I transcribe those monthly channel sessions. And those are, available both on my website and on the Bellesprit magazine for anyone who's interested in reading, what a channel session, what it is, what it sounds like. So it's a beautiful, 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 incredibly awesome experience. I don't know if you've ever been around someone that's been a trance channel or had anyone on your show that's done this kind of work.
I have many times, but and the people that have given me the experience, I wouldn't trust them with a crooked dog.
Why is that? Why do you say that?
Because I think that when it comes to certain things in life, there's a lot of people who who see the psychic realm as a fast cash grab because people in today's society are looking for answers. Instead of going to church, they go to psychics. Why? I have no idea. I've had psychic readings over the last 23 years, and I can't say any of them were any close.
That's unfortunate. And I'm not going to disagree with you that there are people out there that are charlatans or just out to take people's money. There are. I mean, there just are. And I'm not here to prove that I'm right or that I'm wrong. I'm just stating what I do.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where unless you see it and experience it, how do you know? How do you know?
I think
I can't speak for anyone that you've had.
In my opinion, it's all in the psyche of the person who wants to hear what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Possibly. Like we used to go to psychic fairs all the time and do the show remotely. I stopped it because I started feeling sorry for the people who were going to these psychic fairs because I'd watch the same people go from psychic to psychic to psychic to psychic to psychic. And I could always tell when that person heard what they wanted to hear.
Right.
Because they didn't go to any other psychic.
I don't disagree with you on that because I have the same thing happen when I'm on the blog talk shows with Curious Times. The same people keep calling different shows and they'll keep going until they find the answer that they're seeking. The first thing I tell persons that come to me for readings, what is it you're seeking? What do you want guidance with? A lot of times people come to me not to just speak to someone that's a deceased loved one, but they want guidance on career, they want guidance on love life. And, you can read the testimonies on my website. I'm making an impact in people's lives through my personal experiences and in sharing what I know and what I've learned. And it's all from a heart-centered space, and it's all from love. But I will tell everyone, including yourself, use discernment on everything you hear. It's just like if you go to church, you use discernment on what you hear in church. You use discernment on what you get from a financial advisor. You use discernment on every aspect of any information you're getting from anyone.
Did you know up here in Canada it's against the law to give psychic readings?
I had no.
Yes, ma'am. It's in the Canadian Criminal Code.
Really?
Yep.
Why is that?
That's
interesting.
Because it's looked at as it's under the definition of fraud.
Interesting.
Yeah. You see, if you want to do it, it has to be classified as strictly entertainment.
Well, what I will say about that is the people that come to me and they say to me, Lisa, I've gone to a therapist for 10 years and I've gotten more out of you and coming to see you 2 or 3 times than I've gotten out of 10 years of seeing my therapist. Or I just saw my therapist. I had a lady I work with. I just saw my therapist today, and she's saying the exact same things. I'm not a licensed therapist, but what I do is I share love with people. I share understanding with them, and I give them what I would consider guidance from a spiritual perspective, and I help them see and learn how to speak their truth.
But in today's society, why should people have to go to other people to pay? This is what I don't understand. I don't understand it because there are so many professionals that people can go to and get the same counseling that a psychic charges for nothing. And these are trained professionals.
I don't disagree with you. However, trained professionals are pushing drugs on people.
Oh, no.
Trained professionals are maybe, they're looking at their clock and they're going, well, 50 minutes is up. Let's schedule another session. Where for me, I'm not going to stop right at 50 minutes just because the timer goes off. If I'm in the middle of helping someone, I stay with it and I help them. It's not always about the money. But Rob, I do this for a living. This is my job. And I look at it as my job.
All right, let me ask you this. One of the questions I love asking psychics is, if you're psychic, how come you haven't picked the lottery numbers? You haven't found a gold mine? You haven't, gone to Wall Street and made a killing using your psychic abilities?
I absolutely love that question, because I'm telling you what, when I started learning how to use this gift, it's the first thing I tried to do. And I can't, they have straight up told me, don't even bother. Don't even bother. We're not giving them to you. I even went, and honest to God, I went and I did a remote viewing class with Ed Dames. Spent all this money going out there, and I purchased his How to Remote View the Lottery Numbers. I can't even get a single number. That's not what this is about. It's not for that, and I've been told that, the people that play the lottery, the money that goes into that lottery system is out of, sometimes desperation. The money that they're spending, should be going to buying their kids shoes or paying their mortgage, but yet they're spending, $50, $100 a week trying to gain money out of it.
Right.
It's like gambling. It's dirty money. It's dirty money. I don't want to take from other people in that way. Believe me, I tried. I lay in bed. I'm like, come on, could you just help me? Could I get a scratch off and win $500? Right? Come on, $500 would really help me right now. And it just doesn't work that way. It's not for me to have a personal gain. It's for me to help other people. And in helping other people, that's where I gain from.
So you can't help yourself, but you can help other people.
I would love to say I am someone who can help myself. I have friends who do this work as well, and I was not even 2 hours ago calling them, asking them for help and guidance and support on some things that I've been dealing with, because I can't always get answers for myself. That's where the ego gets involved, right? That's a whole different conversation, and that's the beauty of what trance channeling does. I don't know who it is that you've ever experienced through trance channeling, but it is a beautiful experience where ego is not present. Where with someone who's doing the work of mediumship or psychic work or tarot work or any kind of work like that, everything has to be filtered through the ego. And you have to work really hard at not infusing your thoughts, feelings, and emotions from experiences that you've had into any kind of reading. And that can be a challenge for some people. But when you're trance channeling, you're completely out of the picture. At least for me, I'm what they call a deep trance channel, and I don't remember anything that was said.
So you're like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep. I'd love to have you come to one of my channel sessions. I can do it. We do it by Skype. As a matter of fact, I've got one that's going to happen this Sunday, and I've got someone who's just as skeptical as you are. And she's from Canada, as a matter of fact, and it's fun. It's fun to listen to. I don't know what's going on until afterwards. My husband tapes all of the sessions that we do, and I go back and listen to them.
Right.
But it's very interesting, and she's experienced it a couple times, and she's still very skeptical, and I welcome that. I welcome healthy skepticism.
What is unhealthy skepticism?
I welcome skepticism.
No.
I welcome healthy skepticism where someone is, in her case, this is I'm speaking for her only.
Yeah.
She's like, Lisa, I want to ask you questions when you're in a trance state of things that you haven't researched and would have no knowledge of. I'm like, well, that's easy. There's a lot of things I haven't researched and don't know knowledge of. So, on Sunday, that's what we're doing. She's come up with a bunch of questions of things, but like I don't know anything. I've heard of Hollow Earth. I don't know about Hollow Earth. I don't study that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't study a lot of things in the metaphysical world. And she's coming to the channel session in order to ask questions to gain knowledge for herself.
So is the channel session before or after the house clearing?
It's after.
I see. Do you believe in reincarnation?
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this as a channel. I've always wanted to ask this question, and I'm glad you reminded me of it.
Yeah.
Somebody gets reincarnated on the other side, and they're back on this plane or on this dimension, this reality. And let's say the person's brother goes to you and says, I'd like to communicate with my sister, unbeknownst to you and the brother that the sister's already been reincarnated. What happens?
That has actually happened. It's not uncommon for people who have had abortions or lost a child for them to come back as another sibling, another child in that same line of family.
No. What I was saying is, I was saying that. Let me give you another example, and why don't we just go to a commercial break,
Sure.
Craig, and we'll ask because I don't want to rush this. All right, stand by, Lisa. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. Here in the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Lisa and I will be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. All right, let me try and better explain this.
Sure.
Let us say that somebody comes to you and wants you to communicate with their mother who has passed to the other side. Unbeknownst to you or the person who has come to you for the communication, the mother has already returned to Earth,
Right.
reincarnated as someone else. When you try and make a connection with her, what happens?
Okay, here's my belief, and I'm speaking from my belief only and what I've been told from Gaia. This came out of one of our channels even recently. No one on this planet is here as 100% of an incarnation of a soul. There's only 30 to 40% of you that's ever incarnated at any time in any carnation. So what happens, and what I have experienced, for example, mom passes, person comes to me, let's say it's been 10 years later and they want to talk to their deceased mother. Little do they know she's back as little baby Anna, and she's a 2-year-old somewhere in Indiana.
Right.
What happens is you can still talk to the aspect of that person's energy that's on the other side that was the mother in that lifetime. But for me, the connection is not as strong. So what I do is I work with my team, and what I call my team is my guides. I have three guides that I work with. My guides can work with their guides in order to tap into that energy. There's ways to work with all of it, but to me, it is not as strong of a connection as if it's someone that hasn't reincarnated. And again, that's my personal experience.
Does that happen often?
I wouldn't call it often, but it's not uncommon, no. And I don't know if you've heard of, I don't know if her name's Mira or Myra, M-I-R-A, Kelly, K-E-L-L-E-Y. She just recently wrote a book that was published called Beyond Past Lives, where, and this even blew my mind, even for the work that I do, it still is mind-blowing for me, where we're actually living past, present, and future all at the same time, where one person, she's a past life regressionist, and one person that she was regressing in present day was living out like 5 different lives all at the same time. So it depends on where your belief lies. Even for me, that was difficult to swallow. So for your listeners, again, use discernment on what feels right based on your experiences.
Lisa, we have to say so long for tonight. I want to thank you for joining us, and take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye now. All right, Exo Nation, that was Lisa Noland, www.lisanoland.com. And like I was saying, I've been doing this show for 23 years. And this is the first person who's ever told me that they charge $125 for clearing a house. Why? Because it's her business. Whatever happened to helping people in need? You know, hey, I know psychics charge for their services, or as I call them sometimes, disservices. I'd like to see all psychics be licensed. Go through some sort of regulatory testing. And there should be laws and regulations on what a psychic can do, or what a trance medium can do, or anybody who interferes with the psychological life of any other person. If this is the case, then we've got a bunch of unlicensed psychologists running around out there, charging good money for it. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Send me your emails. I know I'm going to get a lot on this one. X-Zone at xzoneradiotv.com. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.